Hi, my name is Warren McPherson and welcome to another one of my piano tutorials. In this tutorial, I'll be discussing the major scale and the major scale pattern. Now, the major scale is the pillar stone on which everything is built. As a musician, it's one of the most important scales you can learn. Everything is derived from the major scale. Chords, melody, other scale, everything. So learning a major scale will be one of the most important things you do as a beginner. So let's take a look at the major scale and how you can build a major scale starting on any note of the piano. The major scale is made up of 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And how I know what notes belong to the major scale is based on the arrangement of half steps and whole steps, and those are intervals. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say intervals, you can check out my previous tutorial on interval either by looking at my website, going to my Facebook page, or subscribing to my YouTube channel and checking out the other videos. My website is www.pianolessonwithwarren.com, and also my Facebook page is Piano Lesson with Warren. So check those out and check out intervals if you don't know what I'm talking about. But for now, just a refresher, an interval, or a half step rather, is the smallest distance you can move on the piano. From this note to that note, or from this note to that note. So a half step is from one note to the immediate next note, either above or below. A whole step is comprised of 2 half steps. So from this note to this note, C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step. Or A to A sharp or B flat is a half step. So the major scale has a particular pattern, and every major scale will have this pattern. And the pattern is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Let's look at that again. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So 2 whole step, half step, 3 whole step, half step. And that gives you the pattern of the major scale. Now, when it comes on to counting intervals or counting distance, it's very important for you to note that interval is the distance between the notes. So we cannot go whole step. It has to be counting from one to the other, the distance, whole step. It's just like when you're counting footsteps, you put one foot in front of the other, then you count 1, 2. In music or on the piano, it's the same thing. If you're on this note and you want to count a whole step, you'll have to move to the next note first, then you count the whole step. Move to the other note, whole step. So 2 whole steps, 1 whole step, 2 whole step. You end up here. Then a half step, then 3 whole step, then a half step. 2 whole steps, half step, 3 whole steps, half step. And that gives you the major scale pattern. And that scale has a particular melodic ring to it. You've probably heard it before. So you want to get used to that sound also, not just to know it theoretically, but also melodically what it sounds like. Now let's test this formula on another note. For example, let's go to F and try that formula. So the formula has 2 whole steps, half step, 3 whole steps, half step. So here we go. whole step, then a half step, another whole step, half step. And that gives you the F major scale. So the notes that you count, or the notes that you pick out when using the formula, whole step, half step, 3 whole steps, half step, those are the notes that belong to the scale. Let's try another note, for example, B flat. If we do the same formula, whole step, half step, 3 whole steps, half step, we get the B flat major scale. So anywhere on the piano you go and do that formula, starting on B, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, we get the B major scale. And all major scale will sound the same way. They have the same sound. And so you want to know your major scale on every pitch of the piano. You want to be able to play them ascending and descending, because knowing your major scale will help you when you start to learn about chords. You can know what note belongs to the scale. If I go to F, or if I go to B, I know exactly the notes that belong to the scale, and then the notes that I can build chords on. So that is the major scale pattern. And in my future tutorials, I will talk about the chords that derived from these major scales. So for now, if you're not too familiar with your major scale, I hope this was helpful. Practice your major scale slowly. Get comfortable with the fingerings. I will do a tutorial where I go over fingerings for both left hand and right hand of the major scale, and I will also go through the chords that is derived from the major scale. For now, I hope this was helpful. Check out my other tutorials on my Facebook page, pianolessonwithwarren.com. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel if you're watching this video, and you can also visit my website at www.pianolessonwithwarren.com. For now, I say continue practicing and have fun with it. Have a good evening.